Welcome to Ancestral Wisdom, where the voices of the past guide our future. Today, we're going to talk about how to cure a migraine within 10 or 15 minutes. Why am I sitting here in a tub? Well, it's part of the process. So let's start talking about it. First, I'm going to say that the technique used to cure a migraine, and by cure a migraine, I mean it's not just going to be alleviated slightly, it's going to completely disappear. But most of you watching will refuse to do it. And why is that? It takes you out of your comfort zone. It's simple. It's just a breathing technique, a cold bath or a cold shower, and being mindful, thinking deeply, meditating a little bit. But most of you won't do it because of that second part, cold shower or cold bath. As soon as you hear cold shower or cold bath, automatically you'll prevent yourself from doing it because it will seem to be uncomfortable. And in the modern world, we're used to being comfortable. We're used to eating when we get hungry and drinking when we get thirsty, and if we get too hot, putting on the air conditioner, and if we get too cold, putting on the heater. And as soon as our bodies are slightly out of our comfort zone, we are just used to fixing it right away without enduring. And our ancestors were not like that. Our ancestors were able to endure hunger because hunger happened, especially in the winter. Our ancestors were able to endure more extremes of heat and cold, more extremes of work volume and capacity, the amount that they had to do, the amount of stress that they had to suffer or work through. And so, in addition to the technique, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and I'll tell you what it's called, where I found it, and exactly how to do it. But before talking about it, the most important thing to understand is that you will not do the technique unless you set your mind to the task in the right way. Even though a 5 to 10 minute cold bath or cold shower is nowhere even close to as uncomfortable as having a migraine for the entire day. Having a migraine for the entire day is easy. You don't have to do anything to have it, it's just there. But you have to go into the cold. It's a mental choice that you have to make to go into an uncomfortable situation. And that's why it's so hard. And that's why no matter how much pain you're in, how nauseous you are, how sensitive to light you are, whatever it is that the symptoms of the migraine are for you, no matter how horrible it is, most people are still going to find it difficult to get into the cold in order to cure it. So, set your mind right. Gather your will. Realize that the discomfort of the moment will benefit you in the long run. And once you're in the cold shower or the cold bath, it's actually not even that unpleasant. It's invigorating to a great degree. So, to the technique. It's called the Wim HoF Method, W-I-M-H-O-F, and I first ran into it when I was looking for methods to cure my allergies, because I used to get terrible spring allergies. And if you guys want, in another video, I'll talk about all of the ways that I basically cured my spring allergies. I used to go into the emergency room at least once or twice a year because the allergies would get into my chest, and I'd have bad asthma attacks. But this past year, I had no asthma and very, very little in the way of allergies, due primarily to the Wim Hof Method and some other things that I did. So, what is the Wim Hof Method? Well, the Wim Hof Method was created basically, even though it does use ancient meditative techniques, was popularized by a man named Wim Hof, and it is 3 parts, as mentioned before. The first part is breathing technique. When you're in a comfortable place, lying on your bed is a good place to start. You want to take 30 really deep, quick breaths. So you breathe in to the full capacity, and then release. Something like that. Once you have about 30 breaths, breathe out and hold it out. Now, if you're not used to being without air in your lungs for a long period of time, your body's going to want to breathe. It's going to give you a signal. Hey, there's no air in your lungs, you should probably breathe now. You're going to ignore that because you just completely oxygenized your body, and you got more oxygen into yourself with those deep, quick breaths than you normally would. It's hyperventilating, but it's not the negative kind of hyperventilating, I believe, for two reasons. First, they're deep breaths, which affect the carbon dioxide and oxygen ratio in a different way. And also, the next part of the breathing technique helps to balance it out. So, you breathe out, you hold it out, your body's going to say, hey, you should really be breathing, and you're just going to ignore that. And you're going to wait maybe a minute, maybe a minute and a half. And then your body's going to knock again and say, hey, your oxygen's running a little low, maybe you should breathe. And you're going to ignore that again, just once. And then your body's going to knock a second time, maybe 5 seconds later. Deep breath, hold it for about 10 seconds, and that's round 1. Do 3 rounds of that. You might start to feel tingly in your fingers and toes. You might start to feel tingly in your head. If you're getting a migraine, you're going to start to feel the pain of the migraine fuzzing away. It's going to diminish after 3 rounds of the breathing technique. Then you're going to go in the shower, turn on nothing but the cold water. I recommend a cold shower to start with. I find cold baths a little more difficult. Some people find it the opposite. Some people find that in a cold bath, their body heats the water right around them and creates like a pocket of warmth, so it's not that cold. But I find that the cold shower is easier for me because I'm not completely enveloped in it. I can have the cold water on my chest, and then I can turn and have it on my side, and then turn and have it on my back. It's not everywhere all at the same time, so I find the cold shower is easier for me. And you're going to step into the cold for as long as you can, without shivering. If you start shivering and you can't mentally get your shivering under control, get out of the cold shower. Now, in order for this to actually cure migraine completely, you have to be able to be in the cold for 5 to 10 minutes. I found that the worst migraines, I needed to be in there 8 to 10 minutes. Get the water on your neck, on your face. Don't leave your head underwater for that long, but you can dip it underwater for a few moments. And get it on your face, your neck, wherever you feel the pain, because migraines are usually on one side or another. And so, since you won't probably be able to last 5 or 10 minutes your first time in the cold exposure, it's something that you have to practice. Like working out, maybe your first time, you'll turn on nothing but the cold, you'll step in, 2 seconds will pass by, and you'll start to shiver and you'll have to get out. That's fine. Next time, maybe 4 seconds. Next time, maybe 10. Then 20. Then 30. I recommend doing it maybe 4 to 5 times a week in order to build up that tolerance. But you need to be able to do it for at least 5 to 10 minutes to be able to get all of the benefits of completely curing your migraines. I've gotten about 8 migraines in the last 6 months, and every single one of them I cured in this way. Some of them I undershot. I only did maybe 4 minutes in the cold, and it cured the migraine for a few hours, and then the migraine started to come back. That's why I recommend 5 to 10 minutes. And the last part of this technique is meditation. When you're in that moment of discomfort, when your body is knocking on the door saying you should really breathe now, or when you're in the cold and your body's saying this is way too cold, get out of this. When you're in that moment of discomfort, instead of fighting it with tension, give into it. And that's what's going to stop you from shivering. And that's what's going to give you the benefit. Now, why does this work? Well, there are a lot of videos that you can watch on YouTube discussing the chemistry of the Wim HoF Method. And I'm going to link to a few of my favorite Wim Hof videos or YouTubers below. But in general, why it works, one of the reasons it works, is because both the breathing technique and the cold exposure coax your body to release norepinephrine and other chemicals that are potent anti-inflammatories that will have the effect of reducing pain, and not only reducing pain, but I believe reducing the actual thing that's causing the migraine itself. So if your migraine is being caused by a little bit of inflammation somewhere in an artery, or by an overactive artery twitching, or I'm not an expert in exactly what causes migraines, but whatever it is, the potent chemicals released through this process, in my opinion, will actually get at the root cause of the migraine that you're having. And it doesn't matter what started the migraine. I've had instances in which, well, for example, the reason I'm in the cold bath today is because I did a lot of work out in the garden. It's a hot day, very humid. I got dehydrated. I worked out yesterday too, so I'm overworked. My muscles are overworked. I have a neck strain. And all of these factors coming together, dehydration, overheating, overwork, muscle strain, they gave me a really wicked migraine. I did the breathing technique. I've been in the cold exposure for about 12 minutes now. And already, I feel zero pain. Before I turned the camera on, I got my head and my neck under the water a little bit in order to alleviate that area. But if you get your mind right and you try it, let me know in the comments below if it works for you. And if enough people comment that it works, that it completely cures their migraine, hopefully that will coax more people into trying something that gets them out of their comfort zone. But if you don't get migraines, should you do the Wim Hof Method? Yes. Because as mentioned, it gets you out of your comfort zone and it gets you practicing, intentionally willing yourself to step out of your comfort zone. So if you want to go ask your boss for a raise, well, that might be a stressful situation. You might get nervous. Well, you're already an expert at intentionally going into a stressful situation. If you've been doing the Wim Hof Method. If you want to ask out a girl and you get that stress response, well, you're already an expert at feeling that stress from the cold and letting go. It can help you in your life in many ways. He who röster saß, Hans Reido Kenas, Gebon Johagalas, now this is a era, you was Perthro Helgas, so we lo. Tivas, Mercano Heumanas, Lagos in las Deas.